Hey, Mike, what do Kelly Slater and PT have in common?
I don't know. They're both world champs?
Nope, they both own Endless Summer box set.
Oh my God, rad. You guys, you can get it too. The link's in the show notes. Hey, this is Mike with the Quivercast, brought to you by quiverbuilder.com, where you buy, sell, surf. Today we talk with my friend Bill from Oceanside, who has been surfing for 40 years and helped coach Oceanside's middle school and high school surf teams. So I'm here with Bill Hooper today, discussing boards and what's going on here in Oceanside. Bill is a regular surfer at Oceanside. Would you consider yourself a regular or a local in Oceanside?
Well, we've talked, so I'm going to go with regular because you've explained to me that locals only live at the beach. So since I don't live literally at the beach, I live in Oceanside, I'm going to go with a regular. How's that?
Where do you surf normally?
I surf mostly harbor, like the Rivermouth, condos, Pink Houses area.
You ever go over the fence or over the side of the harbor?
If I want to torture myself, I'll go surf on that side, right?
Okay.
With Foamy Nation.
And then what about on the other side of the harbor? Going over to
so I surf.
DMJ's.
I surf on DMJ's quite a bit. I have a few friends that are either active or retired military, and surf there a lot. You know, in the season between April, May-ish, and October, November-ish.
And it's uncrowded there, right?
It's uncrowded, but it has its moments where it looks just like everywhere else, and you're kind of tripping out as to why it looks so weird, or why so many people there. But for the most part, yeah, the crowd's less, and the waves are better, especially on the South Swell.
Should we even put this on the podcast because you don't want to blow it up?
You can, but you just can't get on. You got to convince a couple of Marines with big guns as to why they should let you on, not me.
All
so
right.
It's no secret. I wouldn't call DMJ a secret spot.
No, it's not. It's not anywhere in Southern California.
No.
When did you start surfing?
Gosh, I started surfing, I think I was 10 or 11, and it's funny, we used to go to the beach all the time when I was a kid, and I just played in the water. I was a little kid. I'd go fishing on the pier up at Seal Beach. You might have heard of Seal Beach, right?
Yeah.
You heard of Seal Beach?
Been there a couple times.
You've been there once or twice. And I forgot what it was, but my friend or someone had a boogie board, and I'm like, man, I want a boogie board. So I hit up my mom to get me a boogie board. I remember it was a Maury boogie. It was a 136. They used to melt the numbers. Like
I do. I remember
it was melted.
124.
Yeah, there was the numbers. And then 136 was the lamest board ever. It was fat and wide, and it didn't have rocker. It actually went the other way.
Yeah.
It was a trip. But anyway, so she got me
And there was
that.
no rashes on that thing, huh?
Oh my gosh, it was cheese grade your chest. It was the worst. So I got that at the beginning of summer, and my sister started dating a guy who surfed, and so, you know, being a little grom, I wanted to be cool like him, and so I just kind of didn't really even boogie board much. I went straight to surfing on my boogie board.
Because you were light enough.
I was teeny. I was 10. I was 10, 11 years old. And then that was in the beginning of summer. My birthday is in August, and for my birthday in August, my mom bought me a surfboard for my birthday.
So, and what was your first wave you stood up on a surfboard?
Oh, gosh. Well, my first wave I stood up on was my boogie board.
Okay. But on your surfboard, your new surfboard you got for Christmas. Or your birthday, I'm sorry.
I can't even remember. I'll tell you, it was a...
Seal Beach, Huntington, maybe?
It was a
Bolsa?
Small Faces, which was out of Newport, the Frog House, sold Small Faces, and it was a single fin. It was green. And I don't even know what size it was. I can't even tell you. But I don't know. I can't remember my first wave I stood up on. I really can't.
Really?
No, we can't.
I can't.
I remember that it got really hard. Like, I was really discouraged because I kept getting up and falling. And I wanted to, and so I decided, well, I'm going to go kneeboarding because it's easier. And I told my sister's boyfriend, and he hassled me so hard that he shamed me. But
you were taking the easy way out.
Oh yeah, he was just like called me a and you're this and you're that, and you know no one does. You know, he just roasted me. I'm a little kid. You know, I'm like almost crying.
How old is he?
He's like 16.
Oh, yeah.
But, you know, he was cool.
Yeah, it's totally cool. 16.
Yeah, and I was just a little kid. And so I'm like, well, then, yeah, I'm not riding a knee. And I'd see him at the beach, and I remember there was a day I was surfing Tower 9 in Huntington Beach.
Is that Taco
Bell
Reef?
Taco Reef. That's where him and his friends hung out, the older guys.
Yeah.
And I remember, so I was surfing. It was summertime, and this is probably a year or two later, and I caught a wave, and I went to take off, and he's on the shoulder. And I'm all, hey, and he looks up and sees me and doesn't go, and I just went down the line. And I remember I kicked back out. I kicked out and paddled back out, and he was just like, man, like, I taught you how to surf, and you're freaking calling me off a waves. I'm like, oh, sorry, buddy. You know.
The surf world.
Yeah, so it was kind of, you know, it's, and now I got Groms calling me off of waves, so.
Do you have a good story? Like, what's your favorite story going to Mexico maybe, or driving up north, or just going to Huntington Pier and it was offshore? Like, do you have a good story to say?
I'll tell you.
You'll never forget the rest of your life.
So I have a lot of those.
But your best. Give me your best.
Because surfing, like for me, surfing's about hanging out with my friends.
Okay.
Like, growing up, you know, I got I wasn't going to go pro, but I got good enough to surf contests, and I was on the surf team and this and that. And I surfed contests and all that, but at the end of the day, I didn't really surf to surf contests. I surfed just to hang out with my buddies. And I can't remember, but I probably got into contests because one of my friends was doing a contest. So I'm like, well, then I'll do it. And then we all started doing it. But for me, surfing's always been about just hanging out with my buddies. Like, even perfect waves, I'd rather surf it with my friend than by myself. Like, take the best wave in the world, park me there. I would enjoy it to be with my buddies than just me. So
not watching. You don't want them watching on the beach. You scoring?
No, I want us all scoring. I want to hoot them on. I want to take turns. I want to wait. I want to let a couple go by. I want to be lined up on an epic wave, but you haven't caught one. I'm like, no, did you go? Like, no, because So for me, it's all about hanging out with my buddies. Do you want a crazy story, or do you want like a really cool story?
Like a fun story, like whatever your story is.
Okay, I'll give you.
Give me your story.
I'll give you the G-rated story. So.
We do PG here.
Yeah, well, this is G.
G, I like it. Yeah.
So, probably 5 or 6 years ago, we were in Halama. Every year we go up to Halama camping for the week with a couple friends of mine. And we got up there, and we usually stay like Sunday to Saturday. So we're kind of there during the week, like when the crowd's not bad. And we always go surf down at Cracks and Tarantulas, and we went down. I remember the waves it was fun. It was like head high, but it wasn't epic. And that was when we got there. And by Tuesday, we went down to Cracks, and it was like 8 to 10 foot faces and so glassy and just literal A-frames. And there's nobody in the water. Like, Halama's uncrowded,
right,
but 0 people in the water. Me and my 3 friends who were camping with us, and my son.
So when you paddled out, did you know how big it was, or was it reality check once you paddled out? Like,
no, it wasn't that big. 8 to 10 foot faces. It was
pretty big.
Yeah, but if you've been to Cracks, it breaks pretty close. It doesn't break way out there, so it's not like a cloud break where you get out there and like, whoa, it's way bigger.
Right.
But there was nobody there, and we're tripping. We're like, well, we weren't even tripping. We were like, this is killer. Like, it's sunny. We're camping. There's no one out. So we're charging in the water, right? Because we want to get out there before the crowd comes. Because there's a crowd.
They're coming. You know they're
Halama. I mean, there's people who live up there that surf there every day. Regulars, as you call them.
Yeah.
So we're like, let's just, let's just surf. Let's just surf. So we surf. No one ever shows up. So we surf till sundown, and we're like walking back to the campsite, and we're just high-fiving. And my friend's with me who just started to surf, and I'm like, dude, like, you just, as a beginner, got one of the most epic days of my life. I've been surfing since I was 10. It was 30 plus years of surfing. I'm like, it's like when you take someone fishing for the first time and it's super good, and they go, oh, this is how it is every time. You're like, it's not that good every time. So the next day, same story. We go down, we walk down there, and it's firing. And this day, it's probably like 6 to 8 foot faces now. It's a little smaller.
Okay.
But it's so good. Glassy. Same thing. We surf from like 2 to 5:30 in the dark. No one in the water. We're tripping. We're like, whoa, like, what's going, like,
Yeah, well, you start questioning.
it's kind of weird. It's kind of weird, but we're just like, whatever. We're not going to complain, right?
Right.
So, come Thursday, same deal. Same deal. We go down.
Day 3, epic waves, and no one's around.
Yeah, and we're just like, I mean, we're like looking down the beach, and there's not one person on the beach. We're like, what is going on? But it's so good, right? Surf another insane session. So, Friday was better, but there were some guys out in the water Friday, and then by Saturday morning it was crowded. We're like, dude, we were leaving. We didn't even surf because we've been surfing epic waves.
Surfed out.
Yeah, surfed out and by ourselves. Yeah. We're like, you catch 30 waves.
Right.
40 waves, and you're
fried when you get in.
Fried.
Just want to eat and take a nap.
Take a shower and go to bed.
Yeah, take a shower.
So we get home, and in Halama, at that time, there was no Wi-Fi, nothing. You just were there. You were gone. So we come home, and I start looking into, I don't even know what it was, but one of the guys with me sends me a clipping, like a dude at the boathouse got hit by a white shark, like that weekend before we got there. And the boathouse is like, you can see boathouse from where we're surfing.
There's your explanation.
It's right there.
No one's there.
And we're like, oh, well, that's a trip. And then he looks, and another day, I think on the Monday, a dude down at Gaviotas got hit on a kayak. Gaviotas, right? Right
around the bend.
Right, yeah, right there. That's Gaviota, not Goleta.
Gaviota's on the south side.
Right there.
Yes.
Yeah. So, guy Gavi's got flipped on his kayak from a white shark. We're like, whoa. So then we found out Thursday or Wednesday when we were there, another dude at the boathouse got hit. They didn't get attacked. They just got bumped and rolled them on their kayaks. I guess guys, because the boathouse is on Vandenberg Air Force Base.
Okay.
And those guys had just come down. I guess we're just fishing. They're like military guys, but that's where they launched their kayaks from.
Okay.
And so they were getting. So we're like, I guess word got out. I don't know. We don't even know. But like, we came home and we were just like, we read that. We're like, well, I guess that explains like nobody was there. But in a way, we were like, I'm glad I didn't know because it was so good. I would have been so haired, like.
You looking around,
white sharks, like
not paying attention to the waves, and just
like I know they're there, but like I don't know they're there.
Right.
If I would have heard like, oh yeah, right there, a mile and a half down the beach, white sharks are flipping kayakers, I'll be like, all right, I'm a little nervous. But anyway, that was epic, and that was like, that was one of those trips that you're just like, you remember for it because it was so good.
Till the day you die, you don't remember.
You couldn't like if you in your peachy when you're in high school, you drew pictures of waves.
It was that wave.
It wasn't the 80-foot wave where you're a little ant.
Yeah.
But it was an epic A-phrase. It was so good. So
I want to know, Bill, what's currently under your feet?
Well, it depends on the day, but I'm super into retro twin fins right now.
Okay.
Like MR style.
And that's only been, 6 months maybe?
Well, when I was at Grom, I had one that was my surf. That's what we surfed because I started surfing in 1980. 1980?
Yeah, 1980.
And the twin fin revolution was like exploding, and MR was the 4-time world champion. So everybody rode twin fins. You rode a single wing swallowtail twin fin. Like that was the board that everybody rode, or a single fin.
Was that your small face board?
No, my small face was a single fin.
Oh.
I had a Rockin' Fig.
Oh, yeah.
I had a Rockin' Fig twin fin. It was airbrushed like a mission, like brick wall with stucco. So,
currently you're in your...
So anyway, I just,
twin fins.
because Lost, a couple years ago, partnered with MR to make a bunch of MR retro twins.
Those things
and
work.
They're based off the board that he won the 1980 World Championship on. So I have 2 of those, and I love them.
In Meteor Waves the other day, I saw him catching some waves and hauling down the line.
What was I riding that day?
The twin fin.
I was?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
So?
Yeah, it floats. The thing's like a freaking boat. But I've got other boards. I've got Voodoo Child. I've got Short Rounds. I've got a couple of Sabotage. I've got some random.
So those are names. Give us what's your overall regular shape?
My regular is my daily driver is the waves are good is my Voodoo Child.
Okay.
Mason Ho model.
Mason Ho Voodoo Child.
6.0 Voodoo Child. And
how wide is that thing?
19 and a half, 19 and 3/4. Like it's not narrow, but it's not on the wide. It's not one of those 20-inch wide. But
so you're a mid-aged guy riding a pretty
It kind of
standard shortboard.
It looks like the three. It looks like the thrusters that we rode in 1983 when they came out. Like all the ones that Tom Curran rode.
Yeah.
Like it was. It's kind of funny because I like the retro twin and I like the board. It's kind of got the same. It's kind of the same style as we had in the 80s, which is kind of funny. It still works.
So, in 40 years of surfing, can I say you've been here surfing for 40 years?
Yeah. Well, I'm 51, so I've been surfing.
41 years of surfing. I can do the math.
We'll call it 40. We'll call say I learned when I was. Yeah, we'll call it 41. We'll go with that.
We'll go 41 to 40.
All right, let's do it.
What's your favorite board you ever had?
I can tell you it is.
Okay.
It was a 511 Timpone, single bump, rounded squash thruster. Jeff Timpone.
Yeah, I know who that guy is. I don't know him.
And
personally.
it was black. It was white board with black rails. Glass and fins, of course, because that's all you had back then.
Is that when he was shaving kind of like behind Golden West?
Yep, in Huntington. This is in
ranch?
Huntington. Yep, in Huntington. And I rode that thing until because it was my magic
what year
board.
Is this? 86, 87, 90?
Probably 86, 87, 88, probably 87, 88, 86.
So were you getting boards in between that board, but you kept going back to it, or was it?
No,
that was a board until it got delammed.
No, I had other boards too, but that was the one. No, at that time, I mean, I didn't have any money.
Yeah.
And you rode. It was funny. Shapers shaped you the board that they would ride back then.
Yeah.
Like that's.
Well, they knew.
But that's who a shaper was. Now a shaper will shape you what you want. Like they're a craftsman.
Yes.
And they make boards. A lot of guys that now don't even. Some of them don't even really surf that good.
Yeah. Some don't.
But they know how to shape.
Yeah.
Back then, like. I mean, well, Timpone was a little different because he was older. I think his boards were more of the style of a craftsman, but like Howard Duck, like HDs, lipsticks.
Yeah, I remember.
You rode the board. Every board was the same, and they were the board that Howard wanted to ride. Now, Howard was a really good surfer, but he was a power surfer, and he was real strong. He was kind of like muscle hamster, like Tom Carroll build. But I couldn't surf.
He kind of looked like Bud Lamas, right?
Yeah, he was, and he was just kind of. And
I've seen that guy.
I was friends with him, but.
Oh, were you?
I couldn't ride his boards because they had no tail V. They were really hard to turn. But if you surfed like him, you could do it really good.
More like horizontal or vertical surfing? Or?
Vertical. Everything was vertical in the 80s, dude.
You're trying to, yeah.
Everything was vertical. Everything was fast, vertical, spazzy. And then... a
lot of arms swinging.
A lot of arms. Had a head snapping. A lot of head snapping.
I used to do this like backside
a lot of facial like expressions. Like you hit the lip, you're like, like a tweaker face. So anyway, that Timpone was just a freaking magic board, and I broke it, and I fixed it, and I broke it again, and finally, and that second time I threw it in the trash at the beach. I just was like, "It's."
Don't you wish you would hold on to it and have it in the backyard?
But it looks like my Voodoo Child right over there.
But it's still not the same board.
It's got the beak nose, the Voodoo Child does, and Timpone always shaped his boards with
that
noses.
weird nose kind of thing.
Yeah, he still shapes. I guess he lives in Maui.
Yeah, something like that.
I think
he's like.
He's big in the
surfing or something like that.
I remember when he went. I didn't know Jeff. I knew him through other people. He wasn't my personal friend, but he. I remember
he rode for him. That's why I know where his things at.
So he was going to go do windsurfing boards in Maui to make more money. And then I heard he started doing a lot of tow boards, like with the tow revolution. He was really into that.
Oh, yeah, maybe that's where I've seen his boards.
So he's, you see his boards around, but he shapes not just a surfboard. He shapes like watercraft. Like he's that kind of dude.
So he's got to be older in life too. He's
older than me. I mean, he was when I was a kid. He was an adult. So I'd say he was probably at least 15 years older than me. So he's probably in his 65, 66.
Yeah, good for him. I hope he's still doing well.
I heard he still shapes.
Well, there you go. So last question to wrap up this interview.
All right.
What dream board would you have? That maybe a shaper that's passed away, or someone you just can't afford, or someone. And what era would that be into?
Yeah,
something you're going to put your feet on, not something on the wall.
Well, I'll tell you what it would be. It'd be a Greg Knoll.
Okay, there you go.
And he's not dead.
I don't think so.
But I would want but not a Greg Knoll now. I want a Greg Knoll from when he shaped back when he was...
Like when he's holding the picture up at Waimea?
Yeah, like back when they were, when they were the guys inventing what we call this... Not inventing it, but, keeping it progressing. It would be a Greg Knoll board. And I don't care what it is, what size. I don't care. I would surf it, just to say I've surfed it, and then I'd put it on the wall.
There you go.
Next,
Would you get it restored or just leave it as is?
depends.
Where it's been in someone's garage taken care of, or
If it was worthy
around the back of the shed?
Yeah, but if it was worthy of being restored, and if it was like a board that,
So do you think boards being restored take away from the board because you're patching in foam possibly?
It depends on what you're doing with it. If you're trying to preserve history or a moment in time of, not history, but like a moment in the evolution of the surfboard, who cares what you do to it? I think if you're displaying it, you want to display it in a way that people can see it and can engage in what it was about. If it's hammered and dirty and covered in wax and thrashed, it just looks like an old piece of crap board that's been sitting on the side of something. It might be the most, iconic board ever, but if you're going to display it, you got to display it. If you want to ride it, like my Rusty in the house, like it has a whole new gloss coat on it. If I wanted to ride it, I wouldn't have put a whole nother gloss coat on it because it's much heavier.
Are you disappointed that you never put your feet on that board?
No.
It's just a classic you had to have.
That board's one of a kind.
You want to tell the story how you got that board?
Yeah. So I like to buy single fins just for fun, and my friend emailed me that this guy down in San Diego had one on Craigslist, and I looked it up. I was at work in San Diego. I called the guy, met him, and he was just some random yellow single fin. That's all it was. Had no labels. Has a La Jolla Surf and Sport label on it. So I pick it up and I check it out, and I'm like, it had some stress cracks on the bottom, but it was cool. It has a vintage rainbow fin, like a real one. It's right over there, actually.
Yeah.
So like big yellow single fin, single bump rounded pin, like old from the 70s, just old. You could tell it was thick and everything, but it was in pretty decent shape. So I look on the stringer and I'm like trying to figure out who shaped it because it just has the La Jolla Surf and Sport label. And look at the stringer, and in pencil it says R. Priestendorfer. And that's all it says. There's no date, there's no number, there's nothing.
So it's not labeled?
No label.
500 board?
No, and so it must have been, I'm assuming,
dimensions on it?
Nothing.
They didn't do that back then, I don't think.
I think it was like pre-Canyon days.
Yep. No.
I don't know. All I know is it wasn't recent because there was no R on it. There was no Rusty. There was nothing.
He was working his way up the...
There wasn't even Canyon surfboards. So I look at it and I'm like... And the guy's like some hipster guy with like skinny jeans and a beard,
Yep.
Doesn't surf. And he's like, yeah, this is a board. It's been in my parents' garage forever and they wanted me to get rid of it. And I go, I don't know, dude. Like, I'll give you $100. And he goes, can I get more? And he goes, I want 160. I'm like, I'll give you 140. So he's like, all right, take it. So I grab it and I'm like, dude, I can't believe I just got this board, right? So I'm tripping. So I have it for a while, and I wasn't sure what I was going to do with it. And then finally I dropped it off at Roper, and I just took it in there and told them showed them there were some pressure dings and like just to kind of, I wanted to get the stress fractures out. And I take it in there, and the guy's looking at the board, and he's like kind of just, oh, what do you want? And he starts taping off all this. He goes, whoa, wait a minute. He looks, and he's like, he sees it, and he goes, dude, where'd you get this board? So I tell him that story. He's like, oh my gosh. So he goes, hold on. So he goes back and shows like Roper, who's in the back. He's like, show the board because they're tripping. They're like, those guys see a lot of rad boards.
Yeah.
And it's funny because they had that camouflage Lopez gun. You seen one of those?
Yeah, I seen that board.
And I, because they were asking me about the board, like, what are you gonna do with it and stuff. And I'm like,
he's trying to get it off you.
I go, I'll trade you for that Lopez. And he goes, nah. And I said, all right, well. So I tried to score a Lopez board, but anyway. So I had it restored, and they didn't like. There's like one or two pressure dings in the deck. They didn't take. I told them not to take those out. I said just don't fill it. Don't take anything out where you have to match color. So they took it and just dialed it. And at the end re-glossed it, polished it, and it looks freaking epic.
That guy does great work.
It looks. I mean, you've seen it. It's
it's a great board.
And they because they were like
it's fitting for the room.
Well, they were stoked on it, so they took a lot of I didn't even tell them to put a new gloss coat on the whole thing. I just told them I wanted the dings fixed and kind of clean it up, and they were the ones that,
So we covered all the questions I have tonight here at Quivercast with the question of what's under your feet, and we're here with Bill Hooper, and we're going to end the interview right now. Thank you, Bill.
Thank you.
Thanks again for listening. If you like this episode, give it a thumbs up and hit subscribe. And don't forget to visit quiverbuilder.com where you'll find your next magic board. I'll see you in the lineup. Hey, you guys, Endless Summer box set. This thing is legit. It's authentic, numbered certificate in it. It has a 5-frame film strip from the original print. You will literally own a piece of history. It has a specially minted bronze medallion. Dude, that thing's sick. Okay, there's so much more here. Go to the show notes. There's a link on there. Go check this piece of history out. This thing's rad. Seriously. Smithsonian American History Museum has it. It took 4 years of research with 3.5 in production, all hand assembled. This thing's rad. So much to this awesome box set. Remastered DVD, sharper images than the original film, but dude, this thing's so sick. Link in the show notes.